week. It was come at a great time for us after 6 straight weeks of conference games. And I thought we had a great bye week. I mean, the big thing about last week was, really a reset for us and recover mentally and physically. And I thought our guys did that. We cut back on practice last week and allowed them some time to heal up. And then, and also at the same time, worked on a lot of young guys and let them play. And I thought we had a great time with that. That was fun. And so it was a good week. Now, all the while knowing that we had Arizona coming up and then obviously breaking them down, then had an opportunity to watch them play Saturday and get ready for this team, a really good football team. Coach Brendan's done a great job there this year. I think obviously a couple things stand out by them, but I think first off, defensively, new defensive coordinator this year, and they've done an outstanding job. Mixing up fronts, coverages. The guys are playing hard. They're playing physical, creating a lot of turnovers. I think when I first turned on the film, that was probably one thing that stood out. And everybody talks about Fafita. He's a great quarterback. Has done it. I think he started 31 games, so he's done it for a long period of time. And incredible player. Puts pressure on the defense. Some really good wideouts. Good running game as well. I think maybe the running game gets overshadowed by the passing game. But, I mean, they finished the game off against Kansas by running the football in the last drive. So a really good football team. We're excited about, the opportunity that you're sitting here playing in the middle of November, tied for first place in the Big 12. And so we're excited about that opportunity because all our goals are still set in front of us. Obviously got to have a great week of practice this week, and our preparation will determine how we go out and play on Saturday.
Another team that plays a lot of man defense, so you're not as much as Utah. How do you get Brendan kind of through that? He's seen it against Nebraska, against Utah, and you get him to take that next step.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than just Brendan. I mean, I think it's everybody on our offense. It starts with the coaches. We got to put our players in position so they can go make plays. We have to do a good job of staying on the sticks and not getting off schedule. I mean, that's a big piece of it. And then ultimately, guys have to block good up front. We have to run good routes and throw and catch. I mean, so to me, it's everybody has to go out and execute at a high level. And when you're playing really good defenses like Arizona's, you have to execute. If one or two guys are not executing, then you're going to have a much more difficult time moving the football. And I think we've seen that from Arizona over this season. I mean, they've done some great things on defense and shut down a lot of good offenses.
You held Sawyer Robertson in check. How is Noah different than him?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think Sawyer was 6'5", and Noah's a shorter guy. He's under 6 foot, and Noah's got a lot more ability to move with his feet. I mean, he does a great job of buying time in the pocket, scrambling. He's a scramble to throw guy. Also can run. I mean, again, that last drive last week, I think he hit 2 Q draws in that drive, over 10 yards apiece to go down and score. So he's a much more dynamic runner, but that can throw. I mean, I think he ended up tying for the most touchdowns in Arizona football history. So, I mean, that obviously speaks volumes about how good a player he is.
Both of you were picked, and all the preseason big topples be like in the bottom 4 of the league. They just clinched full eligibility. All their offensive and defensive rankings are in the top 30 in the country. Do you feel like they're underrated for how they've actually performed?
Yeah, absolutely. They really. I mean, I know people say this, but they easily could be here at 8-1 right now. I mean, they're up 10 against BYU with 4 minutes to go in the game, and had that game won. Quite honestly, not obviously BYU did a great job pulling it out, but if one little thing goes, Arizona's winning that game. And then also, I thought they played great against Houston. Houston ends up kicking a last-second field goal to beat them. So you can't get any tighter or closer than that to sit there being 8-1 right now. The only game that they really wasn't in was the Iowa State game, and that was an incredible crowd at Iowa State, white out. I mean, it was an unbelievable atmosphere for Iowa State. So, I think they are underrated at 6-3. I mean, I think they got an outstanding football team. They have team speed. They can run. They're physical. They have good plans in all 3 phases. So that's the recipe for success. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's obviously a big part of their success is creating the turnovers, and they've taken care of the football too on the offensive side. So that turnover margin, which obviously we all know is a huge stat, I think that's why they've had a lot of success this year. They just do a good job of their coaches of putting their guys in position to make plays. They do a lot of things on defense, a lot of different pressures. Linebackers are walking up, off the edge, blitzing. They're not scared to, blitz a safety or a corner. I mean, they're gonna give you a lot of different looks to try to confuse the offense. They got some good tacklers. I mean, 43 is their safety, a leading tackler. I mean, he's a really good player. Number 4, their middle linebackers, another really good one. They have some good D linemen that are quick twitched, that can cause problems when they're one-on-one blocking. And I think they give you a lot of different looks. I know you guys mentioned they play man, but they do a lot of things back in the back end. They'll play quarters, they'll play man, they'll play 3, they'll jump into some different looks to try to confuse the quarterback, and I think that's where quarterbacks have gotten in trouble, throwing into coverage.
Update on Evan, Tawi.
Yeah, I mean they're all improving, getting better. Tawi's, I think he's back to normal now. Evan's making great improvement. And we'll see where we're at by the end of the week, but I'm making great improvement.
How important is that run game for you? They're sticky in pass defense. How important will it be to settle in the run game and get them moving?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this year we've been very efficient in the run game, and one of the better, most efficient teams in the country running the football. We have to be able to run the football, and that comes in a lot of different ways. I mean, it's running at the right time. It's obviously running the quarterback when we need to run the quarterback, but also trying to create some space where our backs can have more room to make people miss, and I think. We have to have to be able to mix all that in. We have to be able to run the football, control the clock a little bit. Obviously, you'd love to, if we could somehow, have the ball a little bit more than we've had it in some of these games and run some more offensive plays. That would be awesome. But I think for us, it just really comes down to execution up front and starts with our offensive line. They've had a really good year, but this will be another great challenge for the guys up front.
Brendan's only been sacked twice. I think Noah's been sacked several times. I think they got him 5 times in the last game. Do you think you can get to him, or is that when he's dangerous, when he's running out of the pocket?
Yeah, I mean, you'd love to be able to get some pressure on him, to be able to get him. I think Kansas did a great job last week, looking at that film of getting to the quarterback. You mentioned they sacked him 5 times, and they were back there some more times as well. But he is slippery. He does a great job of moving around, like you mentioned. If you do flush him out, well, now – he's on a perimeter. He's looking down the field, and if you lose some coverage somewhere, he's going to make you pay. So he's a tough guy to cover, to defend. So we got to do a good job, again, of mixing it up, not playing the same defense out there, some of the same things we talked about. Try to get him off schedule. I think that's the biggest thing for us. And, and the guys up front need to have a great game.
Golday went out the last game. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's good. He had a great week last week.
Obviously, it's been a while since the Utah game, but after being able to break down that film, some people might be saying, like, is the blueprint out on the Cincinnati offense? Is there anything you would have done differently, or was that just really well schemed up by their defense?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's a lot of things involved with that, where we played, when we played, how they play. I mean, it was a lot. I think they're a good football team. Their scheme was really good. We didn't exploit it. Obviously, there were some things we would do different, I think, if we played them again. Obviously, you got to execute better as well. We didn't execute great, I don't think, in that game. But they had a lot to do with it. I mean, of what they were trying to do to us, and they got good players, man. I mean, so you put all that together, and I think that's what ended up happening. I mean, I think we moved the football. We had 400 and some yards, and we didn't score enough points, with the way the game went, and obviously it's a team game, so you got to play good on both sides of the ball when you're playing a team like that. But yeah, obviously we do things a lot different. But I also think you're gonna do what you do, like whatever your scheme is, like you're gonna try to do that at a high level. I don't think you're necessarily gonna try to do something somebody else did. You may maybe lean a little bit more toward maybe that, but you're gonna do what you do. I think whoever you're playing.
Cyrus is second in the nation in touchdown catches, so obviously the receivers are a lot better. Back to Joe, do you see are people just doing things completely different, or is it just the receivers are better than last year, so he's not necessarily the top target, or is it a combination of things?
I think it's a little bit of both of that. There's been times this year where we've tried to, call Joe's number, and you look and there's two dudes on him. It's hard to get the ball to him. I think the other side of that is, like you mentioned, I mean, we do have some guys on the outside that we feel like can win, and they have made good plays for us this year. And spreading the ball out. If you look at our, distribution of the balls to the wideouts, I mean, it's pretty even. I mean, and then you put Joe in there, you put some running backs in there, and you obviously want to run the football. So I feel like our balance as far as that has been really good this year, because you're not necessarily can just try to defend one guy. You try to defend this one guy, then we're going to beat you with some other guys. And I think that's probably the product. That's why he doesn't have as much production.
Special teams has been outstanding all year. They had a hiccup against Utah. How do you address a unit that has been as good as they've been, but then had kind of a bad week?
Yeah. I mean, we challenged them, last week about, playing at a high level in teams, and I think, even we've got some guys that hadn't played as much on the teams that are wanting to step up to the plate and say, hey, put me in. Let me go out there and play some teams, and even if that's a rep or two on a punt team or a punt return team, I think that speaks volumes to our team about these guys care and they want to do everything they can to help us win. So I think we got a little bit of that. But it takes the kick. The punts have to be right. The kicks have to be right as well. So it's a little bit of all that. And I think last week was a good reset for us in the teams. And I think, obviously, you got to play at a high level with the special teams each and every week. Arizona does a great job in the special teams as well. And so you got to go out and play at a high level. But I think the fact that we have some players wanting to step up and maybe they hadn't played a lot of special teams that want to play it, that says a lot.
Most of your wins, you've had like really productive first halves. How important is it to do that again, given that I think 18 of Fafita's 23 touchdowns are first half touchdowns, kind of like Brendan, same way. He's had really good first halves.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's an interesting stat of how they've done a really good job first half as well. For us, it's been the same. So you obviously want to come out in hot. You want to come out starting on fire in the first quarter. That kind of sets the tone for the game, I think. If you can go out there and play well and you get a lead on somebody, then, obviously you're going to see how the game goes. But you'd much rather play from ahead than trying to play from behind. So I think obviously both teams want to come out and try to have a hot start.
Would you rather play at 9 a.m. or 10:15 p.m.?
9 a.m. I mean, you think about like in the spring or in August, you go out and practice during that time. You have scrimmages at that time. How many teams do you know that in the spring or August practice at 10:30 at night? I don't know any. You got to get to that. Well, yeah, I know. That's why we don't do it. But everybody's up at 9 a.m.
Do you ever think about, when you have that 10-15 kick, pushing practice back to the evening to try to just get adjusted a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we've thought about everything, and also think about teams that do practice in the morning that play at 7:30 at night. They practice all week at 7:30 in the morning, and then they go play at night. So I don't know that really matters. Obviously, if it did, we'd do it. I mean, if it was practicing it from 8 to 10 or 10, whatever. I mean, we also have school. We also have normal, the schedule that you have. So it's really difficult, I think, to do that because now it pushes you back. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that I think we should, as a whole, and I don't know who would be over this, maybe TV, just to not allow an East Coast team or West Coast team have to play at the earliest time or the latest time. Yeah. There's 4 windows every Saturday. So why would you not put those teams in the middle? 3:30. Let's just say if you're traveling, all the way across country, you're going to be the 4 o'clock kick. That just makes sense for everybody. That doesn't seem like that'd be that hard to do. So, and I would say every team would be in favor of that. If you're, an East Coast team or a West Coast team, because we're dealing with it in the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12 now, where teams are having to do that. Don't ask a team to have to do that. I just think it'd be fair for both sides.
Any questions for Coach?
I got one. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Coach, obviously you guys are in the mix big time in Big 12. How much are you talking about that, kind of preaching that during this final stretch ahead of a chance to play for a Big 12 title?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly talked about it last week. You know, after the Utah game, I pulled up all our goals that we had from camp, and they're still intact. You know, for us, we're still competing for a Big 12 championship. That's what it's all about. You're sitting here in the middle of November. If you asked me in the first of the year, would this what you want? Absolutely, this is what we want, to be playing for a championship in the middle of November. So it's a huge game, a huge opportunity for our guys, one that our guys need to take full advantage of.